So what are the other routes? Well, obviously the New York Thruway is the main route. That's the most efficient. Has the Electrify America sites every 70 to 100 miles. Really doesn't stretch you. As long as those sites are in operation, you're good to go. The other way is through Pennsylvania, which actually also has pretty reasonably spaced Electrify America sites all the way along I-80. We've seen the problem with that before. If they crap out, there's nothing else. We've managed to get across Pennsylvania before with even with errors in Du Bois. If you don't get the Electrify America sites working, there's precious little else that you can do. There's some level 2s along the route, but they're individual level 2s. It's not like in New York State you have a town which has committed to level 2 charging, like your Fairport, New York's, your Victor's, any small municipality along the I-90 route has level 2 charging where you could stop for a couple of hours and get that bump you need. Along I-80 there's not much to, even gas cars, there's not a whole lot of gas stations along some of that route, so we are at the mercy of the Electrify Americas in that state. And it would be okay, it might not be that bad, but it's not a route that you're going to take in winter. I think maybe in the summer I would say that would be a fun one to do, but in winter you don't want to take that chance in the cold. So my choice this time was actually the southern tier, so going instead of up into upstate New York and along the major cities, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, kind of traversing below the Finger Lakes. So the southern tier of New York, it is not a direct route. It's not the straight shot that I-90 is, but that's okay. We are not in a big rush on this trip. This route, I will call it the Frugal route. If you take Electrify America, our journey wasn't expensive. We worked out as something like, I'll do the sums, but it was 7-8 cents a mile. So you're really not in an expensive situation, even with the Electrify America sites. But the southern tier has all kinds of cheaper options in Jamestown, New York, which is kind of the equivalent of Fredonia, New York, if you were going the I-90 route. There's a charge point fast charger, which is still 50 kilowatts, so it's not hugely fast, but it's 15 cents per kilowatt hour. Makes a lot of sense. That's a really good charge fee for something that's a fast charger. So Jamestown, New York, a regular old charge point tritium. Got in with about 22 miles on the gun, which I would guess is something like 12% left. Let's see, use the old school card. So you have standard CCS, CHAdeMO, just the one here, but we're pretty far away from anything that is like a major route. So, and this is the there you go, starting at 12%, so pretty good. We got the orange charge, orange level and charge soon, but not any reduced propulsion or anything. And the bonus here is you have a downtown, so instead of being stuck at a Walmart, we can go and explore a little town centre. So we hit 90%. Our meal took a bit longer. Not much, but they gave us it for free, so this truly is the Frugal route. But side benefit, this isn't charging us per minute, it's charging us by energy, so it really doesn't matter how long we stay, but that would be more than enough. It's called the Southern Tier because it runs along the border with the southern border of New York State with the northern border of Pennsylvania. So we'll kind of traverse that. We'll go along the faster roads as much as we can. So that route would take us through Jamestown with a cheaper charge point station, then along to the Southern Tier Welcome Center, which is New York's entryway from Pennsylvania. So there you're getting a free charging station. At the moment it's the trial period, the complimentary period, so that is still, you know, an interesting place to go. There's 2 units there that are just kind of you know, complimentary charging, and an interesting place to just while away a lunch break.
Your destination is on the right.
Good morning, hotel. Good morning, car. Time to unplug. A pretty unpleasant day in general, all in all. But as you can see, very close to I-86. Temperatures at 44 degrees Fahrenheit, hopefully going to get up into the 50s, even if it's only for a short amount of time. And we continue the road trip from around 1,150 miles or so. Another 400 or so to do today to get back home to Boston, with some stops along the Southern Tier, but probably at the Welcome Center, then maybe at the Capital Region Welcome Center, depending on timing. We might just book it at that point and fall back on Electrify America, but either way, time to hit the road.
New York 415 South. The sky.
Racing cars.
In order to make it slightly less wet, we have another bolt charging. It's always good to see, but this is why we need these. We want to be able to charge multiple vehicles at one moment, so we won't have to wait an extra half hour. So as I say, we started at a slightly higher state of charge here, probably around 40%, and that's only going to be 37 minutes here to 80%. So have a quick look at the usage, then we'll have a look at the area. So even to Lee, our local area, that will be 180 miles. Probably going to be a bit of a stretch. We'll see at the Welcome Center. Either way, we've got 5% climate settings because it's cold enough to need to use the demister and heat up a little bit. We got around about 100 miles on 36 kilowatt hours, so not quite. We definitely saw some increased consumption on that little stint from Corning, New York to just here by Kirkwood, New York. Hills could have been a part of that, but also a bit more climate control usage, or climate settings probably went up 2 or 3% from yesterday's, and the temperatures are a bit lower, heading over here into an icy winter storm over the next day or two apparently, but still not bad. Temperature, outside temperature proving a bigger drag, that's where we're losing some consumption. Climate settings down a bit as well. Technique is just awful because we're in hills and going fast on highways. But otherwise, we're making it where we need to make it. And let's take a look at the Southern Tier Welcome Centre. Windy, but it's a good view. Brakes, another job. Get rid of the rotten fruit that somehow has found its way into your car. Yuck. That is pretty yuck. But it is what it is. Our friend charging bolt has left, so we're up to almost 90%, and we'll head on to the Welcome Centre in the capital region, so just south of Albany. Really do want to keep it frugal and just see how cheaply this route can be done. There is the capital region Welcome Centre where we stopped on the way over to Cleveland on our spring break trip, and that's another site, a New York Welcome site with I think it's two 50 kilowatt chargers. Okay, so that was a bit slower than expected or hoped because of the conditions, but no problem, made it. These look on, and Capital Region Welcome Centre just south of Albany, New York. We've been here before in the spring, and in the last second it's changed to orange, so that was not as close as we thought it might be. Let's see, I guess around 13–14%. 14%. Okay, now the test will be here. How fast do we get up to speed? We have been driving a lot, but the temperature's fallen down to about just above freezing, 34 degrees Fahrenheit here. So we're past 100 amps, that's good. Charging without any problems. However, that's not as quick as the Southern Tier Welcome Centre. The Southern Tier we were straight up to 40 kilowatts and didn't take much to get to 44–45 kilowatts, I think. But that was the difference. Even with all the driving, you know, we've done good, I don't even know how many miles it is now, several hundred miles today already. But when that temperature starts to get round to freezing point, anyway, let's look at some of the readings. So the battery temperature is at 59, which isn't bad. The battery heater isn't going to work, so it obviously doesn't need to feel the need to do anything there. Okay, good timing on our part. We now have a Hyundai Kona electric. This will probably be enough. We'll give it a bit longer on the basis that we have a stretch of hills ahead of us, as well as in the Berkshires, as well as this uncertain weather. That's a pretty good stop there. That's already up to 43 kilowatts. So that's about where it's going to max out. Let me take a look at... it's warmed up quite considerably there to 73 degrees, 73.4 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the battery temperature. Air temperature is still a very chilly 34 degrees. About the Kona Electric's charging profile. We'll have to take a look. You can see he's been somewhere frosty as well. You can really see very much, but there we go. Frontal charging, which makes it a bit better. Let's see, he's at 53%, pulling 109 amps. So we're quite similar, you know, similar state of charge, and that doesn't seem to be pulling that much more power. We've actually been here 35 minutes now. But 100, just over 100 amp, 55% for us, and the step down, 54% for him. Still at 108, 109 amps and 383 volts. So it's only marginally faster, right? I mean, so again, that's, you know, if that was 15 cents per kilowatt hour on the charge point stop, free charge overnight at a hotel wherever we stop between, you know, somewhere in the middle of New York State, free charge at 2 of the welcome centers, you're probably looking at 1 stop to get back into Massachusetts at some point, maybe at the Chicopee Electrify America site, but at that point you're pretty much home for the price of 1 charge and whatever the electricity is here on the domestic socket. So that's you know, very frugal. That's going to be potentially down to 2 or 3 cents a mile, which would be amazing. Journeys we've done in the past before Electrify America, where they were dirt cheap. There was Chevy dealership charging, there was Mass Pike free charging while it was still in the free trial period. So those trips, although they took a lot longer and were not, you know, anywhere near as efficient as the Electrify America sites we've used, they were very, you know, either free or down to 10-15 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's the equivalent of home charging, you know, very cheap.